So I was watching the Nick Cannon podcast with Rabbi Abraham Cooper on Nick Cannon's podcast, and I came across this book on a PDF. It's called ESAU-EDOM, and it talks about anti-Semitism. I'm going to read a couple of chapters from it and see how it correlates what's going on right now. Also, he never answered the anti-Semitic or anti-Semitism remarks that Nick Cannon supposedly or allegedly made. And he never answered the Hebrew Israelite question: are the children of Israel black historically? Anti-Semitism. The term anti-Semitism has been used by the Jews to counter and conceal God's natural order and plan in the world, an order which has assigned to the Jew the role of the aggressor, hater, destroyer, seducer, invader, and corrupter. By simply calling one anti-Semitic, the Jews attempt to put all blame for conflict on the other party. In other words, it is those Arabs or those Palestinians or the Germans that are the haters and aggressors, when in fact it is the Jew. Written in the American Hebrew, Jesse H. Holmes stated, "It can hardly be an accident that the antagonism directed against the Jews is to be found pretty much everywhere in the world where Jews and non-Jews are associated. And as the Jews are a common element of the situation, it would seem probable that the cause will be found in them rather than in the widely varying groups which feel this antagonism. The result of the name-calling tactic is to focus on the attention on the effect of the conflict and not its cause. The cause is always some obnoxious trait of the Jew that participates conflict and actions against the Jew. The Jews say that it is anti-Semitism or unwarranted Jew hatred, yet the hatred or action against the Jew is a natural response, just like Nick Cannon's, because the true children of Israel are people of color, or what you would call black. Okay? Now I'm going to go to page 65. This is quite interesting. The Jew, like Esau, has revolted against God's order, and all are justified to act against Jew in this regard. Thus, it would seem as if the grievance of the anti-Semite were well-founded. The Jewish spirit is essentially a revolutionary spirit, and consciously or otherwise, a Jew is a revolutionist. What we actually have in the world is Esau, who is a hater and aggressor, trying to conceal from the world his identity and innate attributes. If Esau's true identity and traits become publicly known, he will once again be powerless in the world. The Jews have inherited these attributes of Esau and frantically try to silence anyone who would reveal them. Anti-Semitic charge, along with the hate laws, is a tool that the Jews use in defense of his offense, hostile, revolutionary, and anti-Christian nature. If it can be instituted that one charged with anti-Semitism is the hater and aggressor, and emotional response of the masses can be directed against that individual, forcing him into either silence or loss of status in society, business, or politics. Doesn't that ring a bell? Nick Cannon lost his job for allegedly making anti-Semitic remarks, which he did not. He was just stating the truth, historically and biblically, that the Judeans or Hebrews are black, sold into slavery here in the Americas and around the four corners of the earth. Ever since the Jews invented the libel charge of anti-Semitism in the 1880s, it has been built up with Jewish money organizations, propaganda, and lies, e.g. the Holocaust.
When there is dissent expressed in the United States against policies of the Israeli government, people here are called anti-Semitic. What is your response to that as an Israeli Jew?
Well, it's a trick. We always use it. When from Europe somebody is criticizing Israel, then we bring up the Holocaust. When in this country people are criticizing Israel, then there are anti-Semitic. And the organization is strong and has a lot of money, and the ties between Israel and the American Jewish establishment are very strong. And they're strong in this country. As you know, they have power, which it's okay. They are talented people and they have power, money, and media and other things. And their attitude is Israel, my country, right or wrong, the identification. And they are not ready to hear criticism. And it's very easy to blame people who criticize certain acts of the Israeli government as anti-Semitics, and to bring up the Holocaust and the suffering of the Jewish people, and that justify everything we do to the Palestinians.
Even the mention of the word Jew is shunned unless used in a most favorable and positive context, e.g., being God's chosen people. This stigma exists even with conservatives and right-wing individuals and organizations. They speak of the world problems, conflicts, and wars as being caused by the communists or Zionists, or by these international bankers or CFR and triliteral organizations, even though there is clear evidence that Jews are behind all these movements and organizations. The Jewish connection is avoided like the bubonic plague. The end result is that those who fear being labeled anti-Semitic will never be effective in exposing the root of the problems in the land. No such fear existed in Jesus Christ or Yeshua, who boldly spoke against Talmudic Pharisees face to face in public gatherings. He specifically pointed out their characteristics, stating that they were hypocrites, a generation of vipers, full of dead man's bones, and all of uncleanness, blind guides, a wicked and adulterous generation, full of iniquity, serpents, murderers, and of all their father, the devil. Revelations 2 and 9, Revelations 3 and 9. Because of Christ's exposure of the traits and ways of these Talmudic Jews, they could not easily continue in their ungodly practices. These Jews thus sought to kill him, John 8 and 37 and 40, and eventually succeeded. In today's thought-controlled world, Jesus Christ, or Yeshua HaMashiach, would be considered a hater and an anti-Semite. This is clear, for the Jews have made it known that the New Testament is the most anti-Semitic book ever written. So, Christ is a brother, with today what you would call a Negro or a black man. Exposing his truth, as you can see with Nick Cannon, cost him his, some of his status, in Hollywood, because we got to remember, Hollywoodism, the documentary, they created, Hollywood. The Jews did. And so, there you go.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. Yeah. What can you prove, huh? Nothing. Where's your evidence, huh?